Hi, everyone. We are on time and ready to rock and roll this morning. I'm so excited and thankful for an opportunity to talk about what we're going to talk about in just a moment and bring on our special guest. You may have seen that today's chat's going to be a little bit different, but different is good. And I'm so incredibly excited, as I mentioned, to have someone special with us today. Hello, Lupus Live Facebook support chat. Welcome as people start to log in. Don't forget to share this on your personal Facebook page. It is really important to get people connected to community support and the valuable information that will be shared today. It is June 9th. I cannot believe it. It has just flown by. May feels like still a kind of a blurry hodgepodge of so many activities and wonderful things happening with Lupus Awareness Month. But now it's June. We had a little June gloom here in the Pacific Northwest, and now it is full summer and very hot. In fact, I am chasing a sunbeam in my office right now. I'm trying to avoid it. So if you see me shifting in my chair like this, you will know why. I'm trying to avoid this sunbeam. Let me introduce myself quickly. My name is Kelly. I'm the creator and executive director of a Portland-based nonprofit, More Than Lupus. And if you are unfamiliar with More Than Lupus, we are a multi-ethnic, multi-generational, international lupus community designed by lupus patients to connect and to grow and hopefully inspire each other throughout the peaks, which are the highs, and the valleys, which are the lows of our unique one-of-a-kind lupus journey. And I say "our" because I have lived with systemic lupus and multiple lupus overlap conditions since the age of 11. So it's been many decades with this illness, and we believe that every person living with lupus, no matter their background, should be treated with equity and dignity and taken seriously. And it's our mission to do that here and to provide a space where patients feel heard, they feel seen, and they feel valued. This is really important if you're newly diagnosed with lupus, if you're a man living with lupus, if you're just finding us, we see you. We know how overwhelming this can be, and we highly encourage you to check out morethanlupus.com, and our special guest is going to share some information and resources with you today too, because navigating this illness can be tricky. Just a couple updates before we move on to our special guest. Our monthly lupus support group will be meeting on Zoom Saturday, June 21st at 3 p.m. So if you're not receiving our emails and you would like to be added to our email list and receive the Zoom invite to log into our support group, please let us know in the comment box here. Leave us a message or email us and we will get you that Zoom invite. Also, we have our virtual educational event that we did last week with Dr. Thomas, who wrote the Lupus Encyclopedia. Now in its second edition, guys, check it out. And his symposium entitled What People Need to Know to Live Their Best Life with Lupus is up on our YouTube. It was amazing. In case people don't do Facebook, we always want to make sure that we have the links to our virtual events on YouTube so you can watch it, you can share it with those who don't do that platform. Also, while you're there, you can check out the Getting to the Heart of the Matter and the kidney health educational events. Both are just filled with pearls of wisdom, incredibly informative and engaging. He does a question and response session at the end. So a lot of patient questions were answered, maybe things that you need help with. You can bring some of this information back to your doctor. All three of those are on our website, on our YouTube, available for you to stream free. So before I go any further, let me do a disclaimer and then get our special guest on with us today. Just so you know, our More Than Lupus Facebook Lupus Live support chats are aimed to be a positive and open space where you can both give and receive support and encouragement from others. I am not a doctor. We are not doctors here, although we consult with medical professionals. We cannot give you medical advice or diagnose the symptoms that you may be having. What we can do here is provide you with information and resources that hopefully you can, in turn, take back to your doctors and have an open and honest conversation about what is the best course of action for you. Additionally, this group is intended for those living with lupus or a lupus overlap condition. It's also intended to provide support and encouragement to those who know someone living with lupus or a lupus overlap condition. If you don't fall into those two categories, this is not the right chat for you. So please keep all comments positive and any inappropriate material will be deleted. We are coming to you live from YouTube and Facebook. Sometimes this gets shared in spaces and places it shouldn't be shared. I will see any spam. I get rid of it from my end. And you will hear me say those magic words. Don't engage, refresh your page. I'll get rid of it. It'll be gone. But don't spend any energy engaging in things that you know shouldn't be there. And I also just want to remind you to share this chat today. It's going to be a great one. The more you care, the more you share, the more other people are aware. So very excited today. And all right, this is a very special Lupus Live. We have a guest who is joining us today. I threw this at him last night, and he was so gracious to say yes and to say, I will be on with you for as long as I can. So he's going to join us today talking about Men's Health Month, lupus in men, but most importantly, give us an update on his personal health journey. So please, everyone, welcome Emmett Henderson III. Hello.
Hey, Kelly, I really appreciate you having me here. And first of all, I like your slogan. If you something about don't engage or what did you say?
Don't engage, refresh your page.
Man, you know how much I need to understand that because I do a lot of posting and I get so much of the craziest things. But anyway, I am grateful to be here with you. Thank you for calling me last night and asking me because this is something that, first of all, the community needs to know what's going on with, not just me, but men with lupus and how we get by. And this is our month, meaning June Men's Health Month. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I think it dovetails so nicely with Lupus Awareness Month being May, because obviously, let's just get the elephant out of the room. There's a lot of misinformation, about lupus being a woman's disease. And obviously, you and I know that's not correct. Yes, it disproportionately impacts women, but it is not categorized as women's disease. However, there is this misnomer that it is. And I know you had to fight through a lot of discrimination and also misinformation in your health journey. So I was wondering, and as I mentioned off camera, you can share as much or as little as you feel comfortable, kind of taking us back for those that maybe don't know you as well as I know you and some other people here know you, and talk about kind of your a little snapshot into your health journey and being diagnosed and how that took a long time and some of the landmines that you had unfortunately had to go through.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yes.
Okay, so let me get started. First of all, thank you for all of you that are joining right now. I really appreciate this as well. My name is Emmett Henderson III. I am a male lupus warrior. That's my organization. I'm CEO, president of that organization. And my mission is to advocate for lupus and bring awareness that men get lupus too. I have a partner named Dion Langley that does this with me. And we are trying to just raise the bar the way you women have. You have put lupus on the map, and we just want to be side by side with you all, just advocating lupus is real.
That's a
Do
really
I got?
great thing to say.
Yeah.
Really
So go
say.
ahead.
Thank you for
Sorry.
that.
Do
No,
I
I was
have a
just going to say,
background?
what's that?
Do I have a background noise or something? Or okay, I'm sounding okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you. So, with me, my journey goes back officially diagnosed 30 years ago in 1995. But I think most of us know that our symptoms went beyond that, just was not. And for me, I went back to 1980 as a little kid. So I had the cutaneous lupus all over my body. I still have a scar to this day on my arm where they did a biopsy, and the results from that was was a rash and fever all over my body, mainly on my face, rash and fever of unknown origin. So it was never diagnosed back then in 1980. So I lived with it into my teens, into my adult, up until 1993. I started having major joint pains. And this is where it gets crazy, Kelly, because going in as a young man, in uniform, just looking strong, and like the way I was at my youth, when I told them that I had pain, first of all, they looked at me and then they said, well, okay, we'll go ahead and do x-rays. X-rays was done and not a thing found. And so, of course, what was I told? Go home, put ice on it. You'll be better tomorrow. And then next thing, 2 weeks, I went back. Not only was it in my wrist, but this time I felt it in my shoulders and my knees. Same thing, Kelly. X-rays told me nothing was told them nothing was wrong. So that's when they told me they just go ahead and do the same thing. Now, the third time that I went, I told them they better not tell me the same thing. I'm sitting there like they better not tell me the same thing. I'm in pain, and they told me the same thing. So I stopped going for 2 more years. Dealt with the pain. When people were telling me you should go to the ER, I keep just playing it down, just dumb playing it like, you know what, they're probably not going to find anything. But I knew that already they didn't. So when in 95, when the pain resonated to the lower back area, that's when I decided I got to go. I can't barely stand up straight. It's hard to walk. And that's when they decide to do something other than x-rays. They drew blood. And wow, what the expression was at that time, we don't know what's wrong. Something is majorly wrong. You're here at the clinic. You need to get checked into the hospital. So I went by ambulance to an hospital, and I was there for 2.5 months trying to figure out what was wrong. And, it's just crazy because I'm thinking, why can't they figure this out? Things are common that's going on today that they're able to find, but why not with me? And at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what? They're probably going to tell me to go home. And if they do, I don't know what I'm going to do. But no, they kept me there. And then finally, a little lady comes in, known as a rheumatologist, which I never heard of that before. And when she told me that, word on word, I may have a woman's disease, man, can you imagine how that took me back? Can you imagine how that kind of just took away everything that I've, tried to be at that point? A manager of my company, a father to my kids. I was doing well, but that kind of just broke me down. So when she told me that I was diagnosed with something called lupus, 1995, I never heard of it before. My family never heard it before. Who they were the only ones I broke this down to. And because of it, it's just something I had to roll with. So as long as I knew that I can live, and she said, yeah, but it will be tough. It will be a lot of medication involved, a lot of extra additional, health issues involved. And I was in denial at the time. So I decided I'm going to go back to work. And I did. But I went to work with 30 medications. One of them, the worst one ever that I could not deal with and deal with the side effects, was the prednisone. I mean, I started at 80 milligrams of prednisone. And I'm sure that the audience can relate how bad that can be, and side effects. But yet at the same time, it saved my life. It kept me going. It kept my kidneys maintained. That lower back that was, that I went in for in 95, I was in kidney failure stage 3. I said stage 3 kidney failure. And fast forward, Kelly, you know, I've got to let you guys all know, as a man with lupus, they say that men with lupus sometimes has a little more severe with organ problems. And I think I can vouch for that. I literally had every organ affected, from my skin to my heart to my brain to the lungs to the liver, spleen, kidneys. I mean, this is what lupus did to me. And then I ended up, of course, opened the door for other autoimmune diseases, Shogun syndrome, mixed connective tissue, rheumatoid arthritis, and things like that just kept and invading me. With the vascular necrosis that I also carried upon, my bones got pretty bad, where I was taking bone density tests all the time, but all they saw was the digression of my bones just going bad. Because of that, I ended up having a knee replacement. I also had a shoulder replacement. After before the end of this summer, I have to get a hip replacement. And then I also have my opposite knee that's going out now. So even though, with all these organ, failures, I've done a lot of things to kind of put myself, ahead. When I had the major heart failure, my rheumatologist found a clinical trial for me that had helped me save my life. It was a clinical trial at the time, and I believe now it has kind of come full swing to another type of, regimen for us with lupus. I also did a with all that going on with me, it was just literally one failure after another. And I kept thinking to myself, is this how bad lupus is? Or is it just me? Then is this only me? And when lupus took me out of my career finally in 2019, keep in mind, I maintained my work because I knew I was good at what I did, but I hid what was wrong with me all those years. I didn't know how to explain what lupus was to my friends if they asked me, because I was told it was a woman's disease that, yeah, men get it too, but it's such a small, okay, thank you. It's just such a small, issue on it to me. But when I finally decide to look up further what lupus was, I got a perfect understanding. And so at this time in 2019, when lupus took me out of my career, I figured I'm such an active, busy person despite everything I've been through. I had overcame all these organ failures. I've dealt with the surgeries. I've got comfortable with dealing with the shoulder, the knee, the hips, and now it's kind of like I think I'm good, but then the brain disease took me out of my career. And now I felt bummed because I'm going to tell you one thing, and this goes for everybody out there: mental health is everything, everything. For me, this is my own personal journey, that mental health and working kept me focused on life, not my illness. It kept me motivated that if I can wake up and go to work, I'm going to make it the best day I can. And when lupus took that away from me, I felt I need to get back at lupus. I don't know if this is going to be the shocking part where Emmett just says I can't do it no more. Oh no, that's not in my spirit at all. I end up creating my own organization so I can help people with lupus. If I can survive all these years through everything I've been through, maybe I can put a little spark in somebody that you can live a life with lupus. And here I am today, Kelly. It's an honor meeting you at the convention that we did and being around the community that I serve well and I love to serve. I love it to where I hear that I help somebody because of just telling my story. And to me, that's huge. When I realized that I had the power, the gift of speaking, the gift of telling my story, and I'm being invited everywhere, all over the place to tell it, I feel like God put me on this mission to just help people out that we can manage, we can live. It's just that it starts with us. So that's kind of a brief little thing about me, and I just so much that I've been doing that I'm just so proud of, not just myself, but I'm proud that the community receives, what I'm doing. I created the Lupus Dream Team with Dion Langley. Me and him are, in the same, deal with two guys with lupus that talk about lupus. I mean, we know lupus is rare, but with two brothers talking about it, oh, come on now, it's even more rare. So we are grateful to bring what we bring. And it is people like you, Kelly, and then your platform, More Than Lupus, that not only are we more than lupus, but like I said, we are also stronger than lupus. So that's a little brief thing about me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. It is unbelievable to hear that you went from
Mhm.
these doctor appointments where they were, x-raying your knee and saying everything is fine to complete organ involvement.
Right.
And unfortunately, that can happen, particularly with men, because the onset can be really intense and many organs can be impacted.
Absolutely.
And yeah, um, it is just unbelievable to hear about your medical journey and all the highs and lows. And we know that recently you were, well, the last couple of years you've been in and out of the hospital quite a bit, but you literally just got out a few days ago or maybe last week. And then you are having right now to do some medical treatments and dialysis. Would you mind giving everyone an update on how you're doing currently and kind of what's around the bend for you regarding your health?
Of course. Thank you for bringing that up because this is why I'm in a setting and not at my home because I do dialysis. I do home hemodialysis where that's me doing it myself and I do it 6 days a week. So, that is something that this is my life and I have to make this a priority and I do. So what happened recently was a couple of weeks ago, I ended up having tightening of, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit even beyond that. The fistula that I have in my arm, which that is an access for dialysis if you're not aware of it. And I stick myself every day with the needles to connect to my machine. But I started feeling sick. And that was telling me maybe I'm not getting sufficient dialysis. So when I went to my doctor about this, they had confirmed that my the problems that I'm having, and not the main problem actually, was that my hand was going numb and I was losing blood. So they thought that I was having more pressure going one way from the fistula than the other. So I had a major surgery in my arm to correct my veins and do some rearranging on that. And that was okay at the time. But because of that problem with my hand, they felt that that was the cause. So they went ahead, but to do the surgery on my arm here, you have to imagine they have to put another access. So dialysis has to keep going no matter what. They put one here in my neck, and that was my access there. But then when I started having chest issues, chest tightening and breathing, my fiance Chanel noticed that I'm breathing out my mouth. And guys, we don't say anything right away. I'm just thinking, you know what? I'll be all right. It's just something that I'll get over. But no, it was getting tighter and tighter. We came into the ER and they first concluded they need to remove this one here out of my neck. So with this one with this one just needing to get surgery, this one temporarily, I had to get another one put in. I had one put in my right side in my lower hip area, and I'm going to tell you guys that that is my 10th access because these access that we carry to do dialysis, they're only meant to be temporary until you get a permanent, which could be a fistula, it could be a graft. 10 of them failed in my body and they kept doing surgery to take them out, surgery to put them in. And you got to imagine they wire all the way to major arteries in my heart. So when they concluded that this temporary one is going to work for me and that we're going to wait for the doctors to tell me about the permanent situation. In the meantime, you can go home. And this is after 1 week in the hospital. But then just my luck. The doctor comes in before the nurse comes in with my release papers and tells me, we saw something in the x-ray that I think we need to pay attention to. And I said, what is it? He said, it's something in your spine. And I'm like, okay, well, it may make sense because I've had some back problems off and on here and there physically, but didn't know. So the x-ray led to finding that there's something that led to an ultrasound that they're saying, oh, there's definitely something there. Then it led to an MRI, which showed a black shadow on my spine. And then that led to a bone biopsy. The bone biopsy concluded that it is definitely an infection, but they don't know what kind of infection yet. And so it's been funny with me to where there's always that we don't know yet, but we'll find out. And so here I am thinking, I mean, it's not cancer. They said no. But then they told me a couple days later that it is eating my bones. And so then I'm like, okay, well, what do we have to do? And then, of course, their answer is, which I respect and understand, that because we don't know and we can't name what type of infection it is, we're going to give you the big guns that kills a lot of infections. So because of my dialysis treatments, it's something that's going to go on for 8 weeks. So instead of course, they don't not going to keep me there. I'm here at the dialysis clinic now, and this is my second day of showing me how to, put the medication in me through my dialysis cartridges, that it runs through my body at that time. 6 days a week, I have 1 day off of medication and dialysis. So I'm okay with that as long as this helps me. Now, here's the thing. We don't even know, or the doctors can't guarantee that when I have my MRI appointment on the 10th of July, that as long as it's gone, we're good. If it's not, we're back at square one. We need to identify what it is. So I'm optimistic. I'm confident they'll find out what it is. In the meantime, I got to do what I got to do. I'm not discouraged at all, because this is something that in 30 years, Kelly, I've been through a lot. This is just another notch on my belt where here I am going through this. And then, you know what? In 8 weeks, more likely, no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to be good, because that means we've gotten further by knowing it's not going to be taken care of by these antibiotics. Maybe I need something else, different regimen, but either way, I'm ready to go. So thank you guys all for the love that you have showed me. I've received a lot of texts, emails, messages, phone calls of my time in the hospital. I want to thank my fiance Chanel for being my rock, keeping me motivated that, you are stronger than lupus, and whatever lupus brings, whatever infections from dialysis brings, whatever, you are stronger than that. So I really appreciate the love from everybody. But there we go, Kelly. That's what's going on. So this is my background for now. My eyes have been sensitive lately as well. It's the only reason why I got the shades. And I'm just thankful for being alive. And God blesses me in a lot of ways.
Wow. Well, I think the energy that you give to the universe is palpable. We
Hmm.
feel it. We feel it. And even when you are having your hardest days, and with every everyone should be able to be down on a day or two or several days and have a bad mental health day.
Yes.
We see you, even in your hardest moments, being real, sharing your truth, but that the energy that you put out, it's like it's so contagious to us
Thank you.
in the
Thank you.
lupus community, and we are so thankful for your vulnerability and sharing your journey and letting us know where you're at, so that we can walk alongside of you and pray with you and support you in any way that we can from wherever we're joining around. And I know that you need to get going because you've got your dialysis and people
You seen
working
them
there.
tap me on my shoulder, huh?
Yeah, yeah, like okay, you're not in the studio here. You're at the dialysis. So I
Yeah,
just want to say,
no,
so thankful
you're very
today.
welcome. Thank you. And I just want to, bring it to everybody that telling our stories is very powerful. We're helping others that may be going through the same thing, that may feel they don't have a voice to say something. But, watching Kelly's episodes and hearing everything, watch me at Male Lupus Warriors, you can get an idea that you're not alone with this illness. You're not alone in your health crisis. There are others going through it. So uplift yourself and let us uplift you, because that's what we definitely want to do. Thank you for the prayer, Cheryl. Thank you for everybody that's listening. And Kelly, again, you got me for whatever you need me for. 1 day, 1 hour, I'm on your show, whatever you want.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and take care. And we will talk later. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Oh, guys, that is just so wonderful. So thankful that he was able to be here with us today. I reached out to him last minute, and I was just very, very thankful for his just flexibility with his schedule today. And for the remainder of the time, I just wanted to delve in a little bit to the nuances of this disease and how it impacts men and males and babies assigned male at birth. and how we can support those in the community that maybe feel ostracized or uncomfortable talking about their lupus journey because they are men. So just so you're aware, lupus, hold on one second, let me go ahead and hide that and I'll put the banner back on. Lupus disproportionately impacts women, but it is not a woman's disease. Men get lupus, and babies assigned male at birth get lupus, teenage boys and young men get lupus, and it can be very severe. The first person I recall meeting with lupus was a young man, about 13, at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, named Jobin, and I will never forget him. Never forget him. And so I didn't think that there was this divide between, or this idea that lupus was a woman's disease. I did not think that, because the first person I met was a teenage male who had lupus, and it was very severe. Lupus does present similarly in men and women, but men tend to suffer more intense symptoms. And unfortunately, because of these biases and stigmas, they often, as you heard Emmett say, they're stoic, they don't talk about it, they ignore symptoms for a while, not always, but many, and that can lead to poor health outcomes. It's important to continue to try and understand why lupus develops so severely in men, and validate the unique health journeys of men with lupus. And I hope just kind of give you a few nuggets of information today with the time that I have with you to talk about it and hopefully spread some awareness. Men often experience a more severe form of the disease. Men tend to present with symptoms that affect multiple symptoms in the body. Sometimes, like with Emmett's journey, it presented in his joints first. His knees hurt and his wrists hurt. And those are two of the joints that are most impacted with lupus. It's usually your wrists, your smaller joints. It's the same thing that happened with me. And many, many, many people I've heard over the years of doing lupus advocacy and being in lupus communities have shared with me, it was my knees, it was my wrists, it was my fingers, it was my ankles. It's the smaller joints. But yes, so our rheumatoid arthritis or some type of inflammatory arthritis tends to be so often kind of what presents, but it's easily dismissed as a injury, either from work or sports. It can be growing pains. It can be dismissed as a tracking problem, as maybe you're not working out as much as you should. Maybe you've worked out too much. So there's a lot of dismissal. And as you heard his story, he had 3 knee x-rays. Everything came back completely normal. He didn't go to the doctor for 2 years. And when he came back to the doctor, he had back pain. He thought he was going to be dismissed again. He kind of was, until they took blood work and they saw, oh, you are in stage 3 kidney failure. And the disease had spread to many of his organs and has impacted his organs over the last 30 plus years of living with that illness in very severe ways. Same thing with a lot of other men. Renal kidney disease with lupus, or otherwise known as lupus nephritis, swelling of the kidneys, that is pretty common with men with lupus, as well as pleurisy, which is inflammation of the pleural lining of the lungs. He mentioned discoid lupus, that he had a biopsy done. They didn't really give him that discoid diagnosis, even though now that they look back, they are pretty positive that's what was going on. So discoid lupus is something that's common with men in lupus. Anemia, lupus I can't say it right now. Antiphospholipid syndrome. And seizures also, the neurological stuff, that's kind of as well. So there's no exact reason for why symptoms and disease manifestations are more severe in men, but a potential may lie in the role of sex hormones. And we've talked about this a little bit with how estrogen, commonly associated with women, and androgen, which is commonly associated with men. It's thought that estrogen may encourage the development of autoimmune disorders, while androgens may offer some protection. And if a woman has higher levels of estrogen, it may increase disease activity. On the flip side, lower levels of androgen in men are thought to connect with the development of the disease in males. So if there's these fluctuations, hormones can be somewhat of a bell curve. Some people have a little bit more of one, a little bit less than another. If you ever had your hormone levels checked, it's very evident that this is the case in everyone. It's a bell curve, and you can see that if your hormones are just off, it can produce more of a robust autoimmune response, which is why it's believed that most women have autoimmune disorders, because we have that larger estrogen surge. However, if a man has that lower androgen, that can also be an interesting formula to the potential development of lupus in men. Those symptoms can be more severe with men. Men seem to be less likely to have lupus overlap diseases. Now, unfortunately, that's not the case with Emmett, as he shared with us earlier. He does have Sjogren's disease. He also has mixed connective, and he also has rheumatoid arthritis. Lupus can be developed by the skin, so he mentioned that he has dealt with discoid lupus as well. So because of this false assumption by most people, including a lot of doctors these days, that men do not get lupus, so that men is a quote-unquote woman's disease, which is not true. Men can find it much more difficult to get into see a lupus specialist, which is a rheumatologist, and get the right testing to validate a lupus diagnosis. Also, negative feelings about maybe possibly having a woman's disease have been studied to produce more emotional and social stress in men, and that can impact their quality of life as well. So more research is needed to address these disparities, these stigmas, and these barriers to care, and better provide physicians with a open insight, a growth mindset to improve their efforts to diagnose and treat lupus in men. So what happened to Emmett doesn't happen to someone that's newly diagnosed as well. So when are males most vulnerable to develop lupus? Now, lupus predominantly impacts females of childbearing age. Women tend to peak between ages 20 and 30. For males, the peak is later, between the ages of 45 and 60. However, when teenagers and boys and young male adults get lupus, this is very severe. Tends to come on. So what are the long-term effects in lupus with in those who are male that have lupus? Now, recent studies suggest that disease flares that occur in men with lupus have higher mortality rates than women with lupus at the same age. That's why it's really important to be proactive with your health, particularly your cardiovascular health, your kidney health, making wellness a priority if you're a male living with lupus. Being your own advocate with your doctors. When you know your body, Emmett, he knows his body. He knows when something's not right. He knows when he's feeling pain. He knows when something's not working, when something just feels off. One of the best ways that you can become knowledgeable of lupus symptoms and track what you're experiencing carefully is by getting involved in advocacy groups like Male Lupus Warriors, Lupus Dream Team, More Than Lupus, Lupus Research Alliance, Lupus Foundation of America, and learning more about the disease, the manifestations, how you can be proactive. Follow Dr. Don Thomas, lupusencyclopedia.com, get his book, and be aware. So when these things bubble to the surface, you can be proactive and not reactive. And just kind of in conclusion, being a man living with lupus, I would imagine, is incredibly challenging. As Emmett shared, his journey has been far an easy one. He has had to question doctors, he's had to push back on doctors, he's had to challenge doctors when they said nothing's wrong. And he has really had to fight for his rights, fight for information, fight for services. And I wish I could say that's just not the way it is in 2025, but unfortunately that is still the case. But out of the many things that Emmett has taught us, watching his journey and him being so kind to invite us into his journey and sharing and being vulnerable, is that using your voice is absolutely essential. Speaking up, speaking out, and not being silenced when you know something is not okay with your body. You know what? Okay, the x-ray came back normal. Doesn't matter. I'm not crazy. Something is going on. What's the next step? You know, as he said, I'm not going to get discouraged if a test comes back one way or another. What's the next step? What are we doing to be proactive about this? You know, even when he mentioned that he's on antibiotics for this mysterious bone infection that's happening in his spine. They can't tell him. The experts cannot tell him what that is exactly. And, you know, it's very easy to get discouraged when you don't have the answers, when there is no certainty. But Emmett has learned over his journey, and I can say with quite certainty, I've learned this as well. They are practicing medicine. It's not perfect medicine. They will say and do things that maybe are not perfect all the time, and maybe you don't agree with. And guess what? It's okay to speak truth and to say, you know what? I'm not sure this is really working for me. I think I need to see someone else. Or to say, let's try a new test. What's the next step? And Emmett has done that with his journey with this back thing as well. It's like, well, okay, yeah, I'll take the big gun antibiotics and hope that it helps. And I'm not going to be discouraged in a few weeks when I go back and have my follow-up MRI. If it is one thing or another, I'm just going to keep being proactive and moving forward. That's all that I can do. All that I can do is the next best thing for my health. And that is who Emmett is. And that's why he's an encouragement to me and to, I think, the many, many, many people who watch him on his platforms of advocacy. All that I can do and all that you can do is the next best thing for your health. And that is different for all of us. It may be being proactive with getting to your appointment. It may be pushing to have that next MRI. It may be making sure you're taking your steroids or your medication at the exact same time every day as your doctor recommended. It may be getting to that wellness appointment. It may be scheduling that therapy session. It may be following through with moving your body today. All that you can do, whether you're male or female, is the next best thing for your health and well-being in lupus. So I just want to say once again, it's summer now, so I got my son here. I know he's hungry. I'm going to get him some lunch. I've been busy all morning. I don't want to ignore him any longer, so I'm going to log off just a couple minutes early. But being a man with lupus can be, I would imagine, incredibly challenging. It's important to be honest about how you're doing with your symptoms and being aware of what's different and what you need attention to. And if you're looking to connect with other men in the lupus community, please check out Male Lupus Warriors, the Lupus Dream Team, all that they have on their social medias and website. And we're really, really excited. I'm just actually going to post all of this here so that you can share these, join. There you go. There you go. Awesome. Great. Okay, guys. I think that is all that I have for you today. Also, congratulations to our 3 Lupus Awareness Month winners that we posted on our page. Each one received a book. And I'm really thrilled that those 3 were able to join us during those live sessions, enter our drawing, share this chat on their Facebook page, and then they won. So we're doing that. And then we have our support group coming up on the 21st, Saturday. And then we're putting together a summer block party, More Than Lupus party here in Portland for our Portland community group members. All right. Thank you so much, Edwina. Thank you to Cami, Betty, Cheryl, Safrinia, Darian, I think I said Edwina already. Betty's here. So good to have you all joining on Facebook today and streaming live on YouTube. Take care, and I will be back with you next week. Bye-bye for now.